Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations as we are here in Las Vegas, Nevada at Cinemacon for, this is officially day 2. And we went to just go see, and we just got back from the Warner Brothers presentation here at Cinemacon. Of course, we got Kris. Behind me is Ann, over there is Ray, right here is Rob, and you guys are here, and we're here to tell you about everything we just saw at the Warner Brothers presentation. First kind of note I should mention is that the first hour and a half was a complete and utter waste of time because they did their state of the industry, right? Which has been like really short before.
Yeah.
And this year was like over an hour and a half long before the Warner Brothers presentation. And they put it in with the Warner Brothers presentation to kind of trick everybody to sit through that stuff. It should have been a separate thing that people could have gone to if they chose to. But who cares? You don't want to hear us complain about that. You want to hear about.
I will
Warner
say
Brothers.
this though: the director of Smile gave a
great.
wonderful speech about how that film went from being a streaming-only release to being theatrical, what it meant to his career. I really, really, really liked that moment.
Yeah, it was a good story because he was talking about how the pandemic and how there's a lot of big victory stories this year about this movie was going to be dumped on useless streaming, but it went to theaters and made money, and that was one of the.
He was a really impressive guy. I really liked that a lot.
From Akron, Ohio, and that guy.
And the state of the industry was useful, just not to us.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people probably benefited from the confidence that it probably gives all the theater owners to see those numbers. But for us, we were just sitting there, and it was just like going in the ear. And
but I even think 90% of the theater people who were there for the Warner Brothers presentation. But at any rate, so let's get on to the Warner Brothers presentation. Yesterday, Sony kicked things off solid with a solid presentation, and today they started off with
the axe.
With the axe.
Oh my God.
David Zaslav himself came out on stage, and we have not talked about this. We have not talked about this at all. And granted, I am kind of predisposed to liking David Zaslav because he does everything that I would do if I was the head of Warner Brothers. It was the best speech ever given by the head of a studio at CinemaCon that I've ever heard.
I echo that statement.
I did. I was glad that you did. I didn't think that you would.
I loved him.
It was such a good speech.
I loved him. I love what he had to say. You know, when he talks about, he could have picked any movie. He could have bullshitted us. He talked about growing up in Brooklyn, going to the movies theater, and seeing To Sir with Love.
Yep.
Talked about the great Sidney Poitier, and I mean, it could have been any movie.
And Belafonte.
That was a really great poll. He's the real deal.
He seems like the Godfather.
And the way he came out, he does kind of seem like.
He's like, every time he talked to us, he was like, this.
Yeah, man.
2 fingers. It wasn't one finger.
That guy.
2 fingers the whole time.
You do not want to cross David
He's
Zaslav.
confident. He's a confident man.
You know what he reminded me of? You know that scene in Paramount Plus's series about the origins of the Godfather, The Offer, when the dude goes into the Westinghouse boardroom and he sells them on the magic of the movies, right? David Zaslav gave that kind of speech.
Yeah, he really
about the importance of theatrical movies, that movies aren't just an escape. Movies change us and they change our world. And he talked about that. And I was just sitting there going, like, the reason I'm so glad that you said that is because I honestly didn't know if it's just because I already like David Zaslav and maybe it's just me kind of fanboying up. I thought the speech was fantastic.
And he was like stalking across the stage. Like he had it down, man. He knew what he was going to say.
Like a TED Talk. It did feel like
it was a TED Talk.
It was a total TED
TED
Talk. And I loved how he just came out and said, we're not making movies for streaming anymore. We're making them for theatrical. Then their second life is we're going to sell direct to consumer via digital downloads. And then we're taking them to HBO Max. But
Max.
And we are taking them to the theatrical experience first and foremost. And I'm like, yeah, dude.
Well, to be fair, though, when he was like, we are more committed than ever to theatrical releases. Well, you have to be, David. You have to be, because it hasn't worked. So we can talk about how great this is, but also it was like, we're committed because everything else has been wrong.
True.
But that was the old ownership.
It was the old ownership, but I'm just saying. If we're going to talk about him taking everyone to church, he's got to go too.
He even took a dig at AT&T.
Oh, he comes and goes, we at Warner Brothers, we're storytellers. That's it. We're not theme park owners. We're not phone companies. We're not what it was like going on and on. It's like taking jobs at everybody else.
It was great.
But then he also pointed out, he goes, listen, 2022, we had 6 releases. This year, we're doing 16. Next year, we're doing 20. Like, they're just, and one of the best things he said was, because he appointed those 2, I keep forgetting the names, they're the co-chairman of the picture group.
Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi.
Abdi, thank you. And he said, this is what I told them. He said, this isn't about making money, but you know it's about making money. But he said, this isn't about making money. He said, Casablanca. And he starts listing off all these classic movies. He goes, we come after those who came before us. He goes, and now we remember those classics. We remember those legacies. He says, make movies that people will remember you by. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I can't remember the exact wording of it. But he's like, make the movies that will be your legacy. Like, those are the movies I want you to focus on. And I'm just like, this is awesome.
But then he did something that at first I was like, this was kind of an odd turn. He started talking about starting the OWN network.
Yeah.
With
I was
Oprah.
like, why are you talking about
and
this?
I'm glad you felt that way too, because I'm like, huh. You know, he's talking about starting OWN and how it was a difficult negotiation and how it was all going to work out. And I'm like, I have no idea where he's going with this. And where did he go, John?
All of a sudden, he turns to the side of the stage. He goes, ladies and gentlemen. And we're like, no. Oprah Winfrey. And freaking Oprah Winfrey comes out on stage. And like, you could, like, I know this is a stereotype. It's a stereotype. Like, women love Oprah. And you could hear it in the women sitting around us. It was crazy.
But it was funny because right before he did that, he goes, Oprah said, you know, I'm making a movie for you.
Me and Steven Spielberg are making a movie
he didn't, because it was probably they just started, and he didn't realize during the transition.
Yeah, what was coming up.
And yeah, we're making a movie for you. And he was like, you are? And
he goes, now imagine me, a kid from New York, and they're like, Oprah Winfrey is saying to you, I'm making a movie for you.
Oprah and Steven Spielberg.
And Steven Spielberg. So Oprah comes out on stage, and everybody loses it. Now look.
By the way, she looked great.
Yeah.
And what did you say?
Man, did she look?
Aging backwards.
Anne said she's aging
Damn,
backwards.
Oprah, you look good in that pantsuit. She looked good.
And listen, there is not a lot in life that I'm particularly good at. I can't change a tire. I can't fix anything around the house. I'm not good at a lot of things. One thing that I'm pretty good at, I'm a good MC. Yeah. I'm a good, like, I've done Hall H at Cinemacon. And normally I'm like, you know, like everybody else who's just like when they see somebody do something, think I could do that better. Like, I watch the red carpets, I'm like, this person's terrible. I could host this better. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey might be the single best master of ceremonies anywhere. Because even when the 2 studio heads are out, that was really awkward. Like when they were trying to do their little
But they did that last year. They're fun. They got that on.
They're really nice.
They're R2 and 3PO.
Yeah.
But Oprah comes on stage and she's emceeing this whole thing about the color purple, and I'm just sitting there like I keep looking at Anne like it's a master class in how to host something. Like, she's the best.
Dude, it was amazing. Like the microphone. I don't know if she had a microphone or she was mic'd, but she suddenly just took over, and the whole thing just became the Oprah show.
It did,
and it was epic. Even Oprah Winfrey, she leaves you awestruck.
Yeah.
You know, even though we're looking at her on a giant screen, she's still right there. It was
We're breathing
amazing.
the same air as her.
Paramount needs to get her
very
so
exciting.
she can interview Optimus Prime.
Now,
Optimus Prime.
for what people might not know, because you said Color Purple, people are like, what? So the Color Purple that Spielberg directed came out in 1985.
Yeah.
Based on Alice Walker's novel. That was Oprah Winfrey's first role.
Yeah.
And she played Sophia. Miss Sophia. I love Tabo. God knows I do. I love that movie. I love The Color Purple. I've seen it probably 50 times. And I'd never seen...
Did it win Best Picture?
No.
Okay.
It was nominated. Quincy Jones, the great Quincy Jones, did the music. So they did... Oprah and Spielberg produced the Broadway show version.
Yeah, there is existing a Broadway musical version of Color Purple. So they did the movie. Sorry, there was a book that got translated into a movie that got translated into a Broadway musical, and now life comes full circle. The Broadway musical being translated into a musical movie. Mm-hmm. So it's a remake of sense of The Color Purple, but it's the musical version of it from the stage. And they brought out
Taraji B.
Henson, Danielle, I can't remember her last name, but she was
Fantasia. And the other one.
there. Danielle, who was in Orange is the New Black. She was also originally in the Broadway cast too.
Yeah.
She looks just like the girl from Peacemaker.
I thought that was the girl.
Oh yeah, she's the girl from Peacemaker.
She is the girl from
Danielle
Peacemaker.
Brooks or something?
And because Aunt Terry, she goes, man, she looks familiar. Like, she looks just like the girl from Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was
I
that
agree
either.
with that.
No, so
And then
also-
they brought out the director who was the
Blitz.
director of the Blitz, who's
yeah.
the director of the Broadway play.
Yeah,
And because he brought those two members of the original cast back.
yeah.
Dude, what'd you think of that trailer?
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
What a banger.
It looks incredible.
Incredible.
I like when I heard they were doing another color purple. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then I saw what they showed, and I'm like, now you got to understand, I like musicals, but it looked great.
It looks amusing. And Louis Gossett Jr.'s in it
I know.
as the part that what's the name of the actor?
That's a whole lot of woman.
What perfect cast.
Academy Award winner Lou Gossett Jr.
Yes.
by the way. So that look. Rand, what did you think about the color purple?
My early prediction is that song when I forget.
Hell No?
Yeah, when she walks
Hell
through
No.
the door and she's just belting it. I'm like,
That's gonna win the Oscar.
That's gonna win an Oscar. For
Like,
sure.
all due respect
we
to
heard 2
Peaches.
seconds of it.
Yeah, all due respect to Peaches, but that's the song that's probably going to win the Oscar next year.
You know, it's funny. I knew they were making the movie, but it wasn't necessarily on my radar because I've always kind of thought it's the bastardized version of a movie I love.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
yeah.
I mean, that in one fell swoop, and it was so great. Oprah's like, she's talking about, she was equating movie theaters as kind of being churches.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is a movie about female empowerment. Women are going to bring their sisters and their mothers and their daughters.
Oh no,
They're all
and she was
gonna come to
no, and Oprah was like saying, "I am going to bring
Yes.
communities.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Good
using
statement.
all my social." Like, she's talking to the movie theater owners, right? And she's like, because remember, Cinemacon is about the studios selling the movie theater owners on trying to dedicate as many screens or whatever. And so Oprah comes on stage, she goes, I'm going to be leveraging my social media. We're going to be putting out the message. We're going to bring in the families. We're going to bring in communities.
It's going to be
Get
an
this on-
Oprah's favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. Yeah.
Oh, she said that.
Yes.
Give
Yeah.
your ticket with a purple ribbon on it,
Yep.
and that's one of the things she's going to tell all of her followers to do. Like, that's freaking genius.
There's a scene when Margaret Avery in the original movie, who plays Suge Avery,
Yep.
is singing a song where
Played
they
by
go.
Henson this time around.
Yeah, played by Taraji. Well, in the movie, she goes from the juke joint to the church where her father's the preacher, and kicks open the doors, and they all the heathens from the juke joint come in to the churchgoers, and it turns into a great big musical number. I got those vibes from that trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
so color purple, check. Mark that as a win.
And that's
It looks
how they
great.
started the presentation.
Yeah, that was the beginning. They start off with David Zaslav coming out, giving like a Braveheart kind of speech. And it says, now let me bring out my old friend, Oprah Winfrey. She comes out. They show this banger of footage for this thing. So they're all on stage for about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, was it Barbie they float into next?
Yes.
So that was color purple. Then the two studio heads come out again. They talk about they're doing Barbie and whatever, and they bring out Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera,
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie,
Greta Gerwig.
Greta
and
Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig. They bring all them out on stage.
And can I just say, I mean, Ryan Gosling plays ball. He comes out
He's
in a
hilarious.
badass pink jacket and his awesome frosted hair. Man, he look cool.
He's like by the way, good Canadian kid, Ryan Gosling. He talks about how Greta Gerwig got in touch with him, and he's like, I hadn't really thought about it as a weird thing, and all this next thing I know, my hair's getting bleached, my legs are shaved, and I'm walking around in jackets without a shirt on.
And he said, I know Ken from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I wasn't sure of my
now I know I'm on the inside. Now I've got Kenergy.
Kenergy.
He calls it
Kenergy. I've got
Kenergy.
Kenergy now.
Kenergy.
And Margot Robbie is Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
I mean, Margot Robbie now walks. She is turning into a power player because she's also making, the last couple of years, she's been making a real imprint as also a producer,
Yep.
getting projects going and off the ground. She's the one who brought Greta Gerwig on.
She's a producer on this.
On this as well. Listen, I'm gonna cut to it here. I have not been terribly interested in Barbie. I thought the trailer was cute. I thought the trailer was cute, but it's a Barbie movie. And then they're all out there, Margot, America, Greta, they're all talking about how many times did they say they cried? At least a dozen times. They're talking about you're crying and crying, and they're laughing, and they're crying. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this movie? And they're like, okay, now we're going to show you footage. And they played like a 6-minute thing, something like that. They played this like 6-minute thing. And in 6 minutes, I went from to, oh my God, I cannot wait to watch this. This I had no idea Will Ferrell was in it. Maybe I knew, but
the Mattel executive.
yeah, like maybe I knew and I didn't, and I just forgot. What's her name from Saturday Night Live?
Kate
McKinnon. So you've got an alien Saturday Night Live sketch reunion with Ryan Gosling and Kate McKinnon. I mean, you were smiling and grinning through that.
That was
that whole thing.
That was. I don't know why this hit me, but apparently in the movie, an ailment hits Barbie that's the worst thing, to have flat feet, where you can no longer wear your heels. And of course, Kate McKinnon is like the dirty Barbie. What
Weird
No,
Barbie.
she's
Weird Barbie. Weird Barbie.
Where
Human.
Margot Robbie goes to consult Weird Barbie, and she brings out the Birkenstocks, dude.
She's like, you have a choice. She has a red pill, blue pill moment.
Yeah.
Weird Barbie says to Barbie, you can either put on this gorgeous high heel slipper and your life will go right back to the way it was, or you can put on the Birkenstock sandal, put this on, and know the truth. And like Barbie's just like, oh yeah, the first one. And like she's like, you were supposed to pick this one. Anyway,
You could tell there's like a really serious message in this movie. Like
It was great.
There's an underlying thing that's gonna hit a lot of women, men, whatever it's trying to. Because they said, from what it looks like a comedy when we see the clips, right?
but they kept
from
saying
how they're
tears
describing
and
it,
crying.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling it's just like
I think it's
the
gonna
way
be-
Barbie has been posed to the public. It's like the way, there's gonna be something there. So I have a feeling there's gonna be like some profound,
One of the coolest things about it, though, was Margot Robbie is talking, and they talk about the fact that they built this entire Barbie world. They set construction. They built a living huge. She goes, we were shooting on the same sound stages as Fast 10, and in between shots, they were all coming over to see Barbie Land that they had built and all this kind of stuff. Which,
Loved that.
And they're like the guy.
what did you think about it in general?
Oh my gosh, I think it's so great. I've been really excited about Barbie though, because I was like, this is so weird. I don't understand what this movie's supposed to be. But this looks fantastic. And then listening to Greta Gerwig just talk about the practical sets and props and everything too, the pool decal, like that
funny.
stuff I think is just brilliant. I'm so excited about
And
this.
then what America Chavez said to kind of really break, because
America Ferrera.
Yeah, America Ferrera.
America Chavez is a Marvel.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse Madness.
I think I
She
said
was
that
saying
too.
how she never really related to Barbie or like knew about Barbie, but this movie kind of opened her eyes and like she found some sort of meaning
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
doll that she never had any anything that
Connection to
Yeah,
Barbie.
attachment.
But I will say, maybe she is America Chavez, because Barbie starts jumping universes.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
All right?
The crossover we deserve.
Maybe there's a little bit of crossover there. Okay, so that was The Color Purple, check. Barbie, check. And then I think they went into Wonka.
Wonka.
Okay.
Oh.
Wonka is the next one that, like Barbie for me, was, I think this looks interesting.
We saw some of it last year.
Yeah, they showed
Just
some
a
of it.
few snippets.
And they had a trailer that came out earlier this year.
Yeah.
And I thought that looks good, right? I mean, I wasn't excited about it. I love Timothée Chalamet. And then I was reminded today that King, the guy who directs the Paddington movies,
Yeah.
some of the greatest movies of all time, is doing Wonka. I was like, oh yes, you got
And I think
him.
he wrote it too. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got him writing and directing it, and you got one of my, I think the next Daniel Day-Lewis in Timothée Chalamet. I thought, okay, maybe it's all right. So Timothée Chalamet comes out. He's awkward in person. Timothée Chalamet's a little bit
great.
awkward in person, but I like him.
Great. Seems like
But they come out and they introduce this presentation for Wonka they're going to show us. And just like Barbie, I went from to I want to see this right now.
Yeah.
It looked
I want to
great.
see this right now. And oh my God, I don't know if they put what they just showed us online or not,
Yeah.
but Hugh Grant. I did not know Hugh Grant was in this movie. Hugh Grant's having a Grant-assance right now. He's been fantastic in everything he's doing lately. And he's an Oompa Loompa. Hugh Grant is an Oompa Loompa. And it's one of the best things I've seen on screen.
It was amazing.
It's one of the
It
best
was
things I've seen
amazing.
on screen in a while.
And I love the fact that there's, what was it called? the chocolate consortium or the chocolate
Something
like
like
all
that,
the chocolatiers have banded together,
Yeah.
the evil chocolatiers that are keeping young Master Wonka out
Controlling the
of the
chocolate
chocolate
trade.
business.
Well, and stacked cast there too, because you got Matt Lucas, who's done tons of sketch comedy and everything.
Yeah.
You've got the fella who was from the Other Guys or something. It was a great Hulu English mystery thing with James Corden. You've got Olivia Colman in there.
Mr. Bean's in it.
Mr.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson is in it. He's saying,
Is it Key in that?
"Run away."
Yeah, Keegan-Michael
Keegan-Michael Key is in there.
Keegan-Michael Key is
But seriously, you had Rowan Atkinson saying one of the great Monty Python lines. Of course, he was not a part of Monty Python, but it was clearly an homage to Monty Python, as you see in the scene of him running down the hall and yelling, "Run away!
Yeah,
Run away!"
it
It felt, there was a warmth to it that was kind of missing from the trailer. I thought the trailer was clever, but I didn't get a sense of the soul of the movie from it, right?
Yeah.
This presentation gave you a sense of the soul of it, and there's this beautiful warmth to it, and God, now I cannot wait to see this movie.
A young Wonka, like I buy into that.
It really looks good, and Chalamet looks like he kills it. In the
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. Well, I love that whole thing he was saying too when he was being interviewed
Just
about
scoot
how
this way just a little bit. Just so you don't
how
get the camera.
he's the more young, optimistic version of this,
Right.
who will grow into the cynical world weary Gene Wilder, which I think is great. Because last year too, Erin and I don't disagree often. That was one where I was like, "Oh, this looks fine" or whatever. And she was like, "How were you not moved? How did this not touch your soul? It's got this cute boy in chocolate. What did you not like, Kris?" I was like, "I don't think it's that good." This really moved the needle for me.
And I love that he said Gene Wilder.
He specifically,
Yeah.
he calls out, you're seeing the young optimistic thing who will then later grow into the more pessimistic, a little bit jaded Gene Wilder.
Not Johnny Depp's version.
Not Johnny
Yeah,
Depp's version,
thank
even
you.
though I
No,
like
freaking
Johnny
Tim.
Depp's version. I like Tim. I'm not even a big Tim Burton fan. I like Tim
too
Burton.
weird.
It was weird.
It just,
Yeah.
Too weird.
the trailer reminds me of, it feels like Greatest Showman, like how you watch
Yes.
before he becomes Barnum and Bailey. And it's kind of that origin story that I never knew even existed, which they made up, right? So
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to it.
So, I mean, that for me was 3 out of 3. So you had Color Purple, Barbie, Wonka. Then I believe the next one was The Nun.
Yeah.
All right, they did something pretty cool.
They did something evil and horrible, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it, and Ray and I were not happy.
Yeah.
It starts with just a black screen, and all the lights in the place go down. And then up on the screen, you just see the Nun logo, right? The Nun.
I think it was
And then
silhouette.
You see,
right?
no, then they go to the black screen again
Right.
with the silhouette, and the nun kind of turns the screen, and the nun is super creepy looking, of course, and she turns the screen a bit, and then the lights go off, and just these little bits of lights come out, and you realize there's 40 nuns walking up the aisles
It
of the
was-
theater,
It was showmanship.
and you
It
can
was-
hear everybody going, "Oh my god!"
Well, at first it was weird because it was like, they showed the logo and how the words turned, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
inverted
yeah.
cross. And then when the lights came up, I thought, is this a holographic projection? Like just for a second.
Because their habits kind of glow.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I didn't know whether I was seeing those, and then they're walking up, and I got that kind of whoosh that happens when you get scared.
I thought they were going to jump us. Like, I was surprised. Like, are we high enough that they're not going to walk right by? Because I was sitting in an aisle seat. And I was like, are they far enough? I turned to Anna, I'm like,
It was good.
I was like, I wish I could see Kris right now.
It was Ray and I saying nope
No,
over
we
and over.
didn't look at
We were like,
anything.
no, absolutely not.
We actually, I caught the nuns after, like, as they're leaving. I'm glad I didn't notice them.
That whole trailer we watched too, the two of us were just like,
Yeah.
no,
I
get out of here.
got to about half the trailer that I saw.
I had my water bottle over my face.
Yeah.
To be fair, I have to say, I mean, I'm a
Okay.
big fan of the Conjuring universe. The trailer didn't grab me.
No?
I felt the same way. I had loved everything we'd seen in the presentation up till then. Color Purple, Wonka, Barbie. The Nun, I love the character of the Nun. Like, I love the villainous force that is the Nun.
Right.
It wasn't a great put together trailer, to be honest. I didn't walk away. Everything that came before it, can't wait to see. Can't wait to see. This one, I was like,
They brought out the lead actress, who I thought was very impressive. I really liked hearing her speak.
well,
She
wait a
was
minute.
very
Is
articulate.
that Vera Farmiga's sister or daughter?
I believe daughter.
Daughter.
Because she,
I don't know.
No, yeah, no.
She's a
like
carbon
you
copy.
can't convince me that wasn't Vera Farmiga just with makeup to make herself look younger. Because, like she said, now came on stage. What's her first name?
I don't remember.
Something Ferreira. And she comes out and goes, I guess this is Viga Ferreira or Viga Farmiga. Sorry, I'm thinking of America again. I thought, okay, this is probably Vera's daughter. And she came out, I'm like, no. And then Ann and I kept looking at each other like, she is a fucking clone.
Yeah.
But
She did
was
not
very
breed her into existence. She cloned her into
She's like a
existence.
starfish. She budded.
Yes, like she looks
but
so
she
much
was
like a
very
rock.
articulate, had a lot of really interesting things to say. They brought up two of the actresses, and she talked
Stormy
about
Reed.
working in the actual
Yeah. From Missing.
church that they shot in, and how it was like. I mean, it looks handsomely made. I just didn't find it scary.
Well, and I liked what she was saying too, as a non-horror fan, of talking about how taking something that should be ideologically like pure and good,
Right.
Like a
and
nun.
turning it on its head and making it something demonic and horrifying. And how wouldn't you want to be around that? Which I was like, no, the answer's no, ma'am. I don't want to be around
And then
it.
she did say something too. She said, because they shot the movie in a real life abandoned nunnery. It was a convent that was then abandoned and became a school that then was abandoned and was like this decrepit, and they shot the movie there. And Vera's daughter, because I can't remember her first name, she said, everywhere I walked, I went with an escort. And everybody laughed. She goes, no, I'm not joking. I didn't go anywhere without an escort because that place was creepy.
Yeah,
And she goes, I scare very easy. And Stormy Reed, who is having such a moment right now, like Missing, she was great in Missing. She was awesome in her part in Last of Us.
yes.
And now she's got this thing coming, so she's having a really good moment right now.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
and she it's so funny because she was so smiling and happy and so different from what I'm used to seeing her as.
But it's funny because Kris, I instantly identified with her because the first thing Stormy said was, I'm not really a horror fan.
Yeah, it's like same girl, same.
Which is actually makes her perfect to put in a movie
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah. We don't have to act as hard.
So from the footage we saw, it seems like it's like students or maybe what are they? The little girls.
Yeah, students. Yeah.
Students. They're just messing around with the old
What
church.
they are is bitches, Ray.
And then one of them
They're
goes-
harassing and
Yeah.
bullying another girl.
But the girl that was being bullied, she's the one we saw at the end. She got older, right? Because the priest was like, "You're the only one that knows that's been."
No,
Oh,
I don't think-
that's
I don't
from
think
the
it's supposed to be
first
her.
Nun-movie.
Oh,
She's the
yeah.
survivor from that one.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure what's going on in the trailer, which I will give you that. But I was kind of spooked by some of the things.
I've watched all of them, and I'm not entirely sure what was going on in the trailer.
Yeah.
It didn't look horrible. I didn't hate it, but the first thing in the Warner Brothers presentation that for me was not a solid win.
But you know what else is a solid win?
Okay, so now here's this.
No,
After None, what's that?
our sponsor.
Oh, you know what? Yes, we'll do that first.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue on, because we got a bunch more movies to talk about, including the DC slate and all that kind of stuff. But before we do, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of our coverage here at CinemaCon, our friends, and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring our videos here on the John Campea Show. All right. that down, let's get back into the Warner Brothers presentation here. So we had Color Purple, we had Barbie, we had Wonka, we had The Nun. And then, in a very quiet Celine Dion theater in Caesar Palace, with 5,000 people in it, all quiet, the screen comes up with the title Meg 2.
The Trench.
The Meg 2, The Trench. And all you hear it throughout that pierces the silence that was through the entire theater was the voice of Ray Orr going, and all by himself going, yeah! We were not sitting together,
I
and
knew it immediately.
It was the best.
Anne was like,
be
that's
kidding
my
me.
brother. Yeah!
Love the Meg. It's those types of movies that you need to throw in all the serious and all the epics. That just these types of movies, you don't leave angry at all. You may feel like they're dumb, but you never leave these movies.
I do have to say, the trailer opened with some like prehistoric dragonfly.
This one's extra.
Yeah.
And then the dragonfly gets eaten by a bigger thing.
And then a bigger thing ate it.
I like that. I was like, all right.
Oh my god, this rated
Okay.
dumb. This one. This is rated super dumb.
Okay, here's how dumb. There is a shot in this trailer where a Meg, not a shark, a Meg, is overcoming this dock that Jason Statham is running from, and the Meg is like blowing up the dock as it's chasing him. As Jason Statham's running to the shore, Jason Statham falls, ends up on his back, and the Meg comes out of the water to eat him, and Jason Statham stops him with his leg.
That's what you do.
And just holds the Meg up and stops him cold in his tracks.
You boop the nose. That's just
Amazing
science.
dumb.
Boom! Now, maybe the Meg saw that YouTube video of Jason Statham doing that bottle cap challenge?
Oh, and then
Oh, yeah.
Meg
Did you see
was like,
that?
"Oh,
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen, Jason Statham has a real video online where he did the bottle cap challenge where he does a spinning back kick where his toe just grazes the top of a bottle and it just, without knocking the bottle over, spins it off. And that, I believe, is the kick that he landed on the Meg.
And what-
Stop the Meg in his
What's
tracks.
great is apparently they created these suits. So now
Oh, yeah, they all
go
get
down.
Iron Man suits now.
they could go down and actually face the Meg instead of staying on a big ass ship
I noticed
and shooting missiles. They'll go individually.
They didn't
because
bring
that
any-
will work.
Yeah.
they didn't bring any of the actors or the filmmakers.
No, they
We had Timothy Chalamet,
That
we
was
had
the first
Margot
one.
Robbie, and
That's
then
the first
And then
one.
they're like,
nobody.
Meg.
Yeah, because they show them the Meg. And they start off by showing them getting into these new suits that Ray's talking about, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing they do is not go underwater, check the air. No, they have giant concrete blocks in front of them and go, brrr, and they're
Yeah.
smashing concrete
ready.
blocks like, oh, they're going to go,
Yeah.
they're going to go
Ready,
fight the
ready,
Meg.
mom.
Fisticuffs with the Meg.
Oh, and now there's more than one Meg. Now there's what's
Meg.
a school of Megs.
School of
Pod.
Megs.
A pod of Megs.
But then
Lot
there's
of
Mother
Megs.
Meg.
Multiple Megs with Mother Meg.
She the biggest.
And some kind of giant octopus creature.
Oh,
and-
which we didn't. I was waiting for it to unfurl. We just saw the
Yeah.
suggestion of the eye, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, and then the tentacles came out of the water and was like pulling down a helicopter.
We
or
only got a
something.
chance.
As one does.
Statham's the world's only chance. So you know
Yeah.
what? Look, let's not pretend that this movie's going to be any good.
No, it's
but
not.
it could be fun.
It's gonna be
But
fun.
I mean,
It's gonna be
Statham
fun.
between Fast X and this, it's Jason Statham's
Yeah,
summer.
it's
That's
Dune,
right.
baby.
Not Timothy Chalamet with Wonka and Dune.
And Dune.
No, this is the year of Jason Statham.
Statham.
Because of Fast 10 and the Meg. So wrap your heads around that. So there was that, the Meg. Now, what came after?
Speaking of Timothy Chalamet,
Oh yeah,
Was that
there we
Meg?
go.
Yeah.
Is that not
What's the
Denis.
most natural segue of all time? The Meg 2 to Denis Villeneuve.
to Denis Villeneuve? It says there's a rap in there. Meg 2 to Denis
and
Villeneuve.
I have to say, so they bring out. I think it was David Zaslav brought him out. Who brought him out?
No, the two studio heads.
Oh, so you had Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, looking radiant as always.
Yeah, she really does.
And
You know,
Denis,
she's the new Nicole Kidman.
she really is. And Denis Villeneuve comes out, and I've got to give it up. I don't think it went over as well as he would have hoped, but it was pretty damn clever. Denis Villeneuve is like, yeah, we started making this movie. He was eating a lot of chocolate.
Oh yeah,
But I thought that was funny.
He brought so much chocolate. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was funny.
You understand?
Yeah, that
Denis, as a French, good Canadian kid, by the way, but a French Canadian, he has a very thick accent.
I adore
Yeah.
it.
and does not
I
speak
adore
English
it.
as fluidly as
Right.
as George St. Pierre does.
Yeah.
He's trying, right?
I love listening.
Actually, Denis was hilarious.
Hilarious.
Because Dune Part 1. I'm not going to do my Canadian French accent, but Dune Part 1, he's like, it's just really just to set up Part 2, which is not a good part pitch for Part 1. but you all seem to like it when we won 6 Academy Awards.
I felt really vindicated though. It was like, yeah, the first one is all set up, and now this one we're going to get into action and meat and all of this. And I was like, thank you for saying about your
love the
own
first
movie,
one.
so everyone on the internet can stop being a little asshole to me for going. It's kind of slow.
I
Denis.
love the first one.
He showed us how
I did too.
aware he was of like what moviegoers think about. Like when he was talking
It was
about how
great.
he didn't want people to get bored of the locations, so he picked different ones. I love that he brought that up because he's aware of what things that people don't like seeing sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially for a long movie. I just thought that was a real nice thing that he pointed out, that he's aware of what people like.
Well, especially with all the talk of like superhero fatigue or things like that, if audiences getting tired of certain things, it's nice to know someone is going, hey,
Yeah.
this could be something that could become boring, and that we don't want our story to be about the mundane. It's about something spectacular and intergalactic.
And he's got some power there at Warner Brothers, right?
Oh,
If he
yeah,
wants
yeah.
something, he could get something.
Well, he's
back.
kind of like...
He's the new
it's-
Christopher Nolan for Warner Bros.
Yeah,
'cause all of his
he is
movies
the new
are-
Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
right? Like I think it's fair to say right now he might be the top guy in the business. He might be the top guy right now.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like it's not Christopher Nolan anymore. Although I cannot wait for Oppenheimer.
Dude.
But I think Denis Villeneuve is kind of like the new. You're right. He's the new Christopher
yeah.
Nolan, and so
He's the
he's
guy.
got a dick to swing around.
And I couldn't stop but think to myself, looking at how radiant Zendaya
I said that
looked.
for you, by the way.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself in the back of my mind. I was thinking about Spider-Man. I'm like, you go, Tom Holland. Well done, sir.
Yeah.
In this trailer, Zendaya actually mentions like, in this movie, I'm actually in the movie. You know,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Right.
In Dune, the first Dune, she's really not in the movie.
I was
but
a
she's
flashback.
all over that trailer.
Yeah.
Her character was
And
so
then this one.
interesting too in the first one. I'm so sad that they didn't explore her more.
Yeah.
Well, no, but she really in the book she really doesn't show up.
Oh,
Until, like,
I
much further
read it,
into
it.
so
Yeah,
there's
I
some
mean,
characters-
theoretically, they could have not had her in the first movie at all.
Exactly.
But I think they wanted to have Zendaya in the first one.
And it was a good way to get into the film. You know, it opens with her voiceover about talking about the Harkonnens. But the trailer, dude.
How good did Austin Butler look?
Oh my God! Okay,
cool.
all the new people coming, particularly Austin Butler and Florence Pugh. It
Princess
was
Irulan and Fade Ralph.
it was kind of their trailer because I would not have even guessed that was Austin Butler.
What did
Oh my God, he looked great.
What did Denise describe Austin Butler as?
As a world
psychotic
class.
combat.
No, at first he starts it off by saying he is a world class swordsman and whatever and psychotic murderer.
Right.
And
Then we saw that he looked intimidating as
so
well.
good.
Yeah.
Because he's got that Harkonnen white
Yeah.
face, the bald head.
he is the Darth Maul of this movie.
Yeah.
He's
But
Darth Maul.
And Florence Pugh looks great.
Yeah, as the princess.
It looks incredible. I mean,
Although, unless I missed it, conspicuous by his absence, though they talked about him a little bit, was Christopher Walken. We didn't see any.
We didn't see any of
We didn't
it.
get to see the
he
Emperor.
plays Shaddam the Fourth. Yeah, the Padishah Emperor.
No, you're gonna have to pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you got-
For the Walken,
we'll give you a
he's
little
worth
free
every-
Florence Pugh. You want to see Christopher Walken? You got to pay for that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, he's worth.
Yeah, and they look like they had a few unfinished shots. There was some not. colored
Yeah.
But it was a great.
The first ride of the Sandworm.
Oh my God, does that look?
That's
And you know what was great? Javier Bardem and Zendaya, when they show the reaction to when he finally gets
Timothy
up,
Chalamet getting on.
that was awesome. I mean, him riding that sandworm is dope. It's dope.
It's really, really good.
It looked great.
Did we not say fuck anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know if we could say that.
Did the puppies change you? Or?
Yeah, it was dope as fuck. I'll tell you, you know.
the
And
official logo too for Dune.
Yeah, I've got the official
the
logo
Dune-
for
the
it.
Dune
Yeah,
Part 2.
and it looks great.
Well,
I-
did you notice at the end of the logo on the U, it looked like the U was like either blowing
Yeah,
away
I thought
or
that.
Yeah, like
I love,
sands.
I love that. Like spice in the air.
Now, just so you know, my wife, Anne, my wife, her, I think it's safe to say her favorite movie, maybe the past 3, 4, 5 years,
It's my Star Wars.
is Dune. Dune is her Star Wars.
Damn.
And so she's like, they just got to show Dune stuff. Just show Dune. Show
Wait till you
Dune.
see what
We're sitting there
happens.
waiting for the thing to start.
What happens is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What I love is that it took me. I'm glad I finished it. It took me 4 watching to get through the whole thing.
The first Dune.
But I like it.
It's really good.
And how they end the trailer with Paul Atreides, the thousands of Fremen warriors,
Oh.
holding, long live the fighter.
There is a lot of like build up to the first one where it's like
And
keep
just
watching.
to be clear, Denis did point out the second one is action battles, like all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going to go down. So yeah. Oh, and then there was then we moved on from the Warner Brothers slate into they introduced James Gunn and Peter Safran. So they saved DC for last. And even in his opening speech, David Zaslav made a big deal about DC. That's like, look, we've got the greatest characters in the world. DC has to be made. We're gonna go all in on DC and all this kind of stuff. And he talked about his conversations with James Gunn, who is literally his entire childhood was reading DC comics. Like that's what he was. And he said the moment we sat down with James and James is just describing his Superman idea to us, we're just like, this is the guy to shepherd DC. And they attached him with a guy with a better mind for the business of the movies, with Peter Safran. And you know what? Nothing could have illustrated the differences between them, because James Gunn is out on his promotional tour of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 right now. So James Gunn sent in a message on the screen. And James Gunn, he's there, he's got his t-shirt on or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, now let me introduce you to my better half, my partner, Peter Safran, who comes walking out in a $7,000 suit.
Yeah, he looked good.
all properly coiffed.
Yeah.
And
But
like,
that's his part to play.
that's his
Yeah.
part
That's,
to play.
he's the producer. He's the money guy.
Yin and yang, baby.
He's the Gordon
Yeah.
Gekko of it all.
So they came out and they talked about, they didn't talk about, look, we did try to warn everybody, they were not going to talk about future DC stuff, because that's not what Cinemacon is. Cinemacon is about the movies that are coming out in this upcoming 12 months. So they had 3 movies to talk about.
First one was Aquaman. They went to
Well, was it?
Aquaman first.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did
Oh, I thought they did Blue Beetle. Either way. So,
No,
but
they
the
did
3
Aquaman.
movies that they had to do were Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and Flash. So they talked about Aquaman, and they had James Wan on the screen, and he addressed the CinemaCon audience, and James Gunn Jason Momoa is on location in New Zealand. Is that what
Yeah,
he said it was?
and they had him.
He's shooting, so he sent in a video as well. And they showed us a good 6-minute thing.
pretty
6-minute
long.
thing.
Yeah.
Pretty long. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a lot of fun with the first Aquaman movie.
Me too.
I'm looking forward to this Aquaman movie. There's some pretty cool things. My favorite thing about this Aquaman spot is him talking to his dad. Him talking to Boba Fett. And that was actually a really nice part.
About having a child.
About having a child. And what does he say? The bravest thing you can do is not give up. Or is that what he said? Is the bravest thing you can do. That's the big line. The bravest thing you can do, the most courageous thing you can do is to keep trying. Or I can't remember exactly the line, but it was really good. Here's my one concern. I got a little bit of the same feeling I got watching the trailers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. There's a lot of CGI gobbledygook. And listen, I'm a big CGI guy. I love CGI. Bring on CGI. But like when I was watching the Quantumania spots, it was like, it just feels like, bleh, like they're just throwing CGI on the screen. And there was a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to second that because, like you said, we didn't get, look, you saw Black Manta saying like one menacing line. And then you saw something with Patrick Wilson and
Get that right, bro.
and Jason
Jason
Momoa.
Momoa.
And there was a few, I was more interested in these conversations than because it's not just some CG, it's a torrent.
Yeah.
There was so much going on in these shots. I don't know what was going on. It looked cool.
And I was just saying, it's not that it looked bad.
No, it was really neat, but there was no sense of like, what is happening?
Well, that's why I think this was the first time I think they didn't James Wan explain the story like right in the
Yeah, they had a
He
video
said,
from James Wan
He
as
has to go
well.
to his brother, and he has to.
Yeah, so this
team
time
up.
around, it's kind of like a Tango and Cash odd couple buddy cop movie where the 2 brothers are now working together.
Right.
Which me and Chris.
Which I liked.
Yeah, I like that. I like the concept.
That
No, we
interests
love
me.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
I like Patrick Wilson
He's
too.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's
And the
great.
way there's some great tension dialogue, like banter between Patrick and Jason
Yeah.
as brothers.
It's very
Yeah,
Thor
yeah.
Loki.
It is
Yeah.
very
It's very
Thor.
Thor.
Yes.
Jason
Yeah.
is playing the loving. I want my brother. Like I want to be like close
Golden
with you.
Retriever
Yeah.
energy.
And then Patrick's just like, don't call me brothers.
He's a
Yeah,
cat.
don't call me
Not your
brother.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the way.
But they clearly are going to work together and save the kingdom from Black Manta, who's going to
because
play
he's
a
gotta
much
hold the
bigger role
trench
this time.
people, right? The underground sea that we saw climbing up with the dark
No,
shadow.
no, no. Those aren't the same things from the trench
Oh,
in the
okay.
first movie. This is like
But he has
an
control
army of
it,
undead.
something like that.
So, yeah, I would give the Aquaman presentation a push. I didn't dislike it. It didn't make me any more excited for it. So for me, it was a bit of a push.
Yeah. I mean,
It was okay.
Look, I like the first one. I really like James Wan as a filmmaker. I will go see the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so am I.
But the
for sure.
trailer didn't make me go. Like, when I saw the Dune trailer, I'm like, oh my God, I have to see it.
Yeah, or the color purple, or anything.
Yeah.
It's like this did not. It didn't raise the energy level for me.
I have to ask you guys something. For me, like the Avatar, after seeing Avatar 2, a lot of the water stuff that we saw from this footage,
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't up to par. Did that kind of like go through your head?
You're
a little bit?
100% right.
Like it didn't seem like they were in the water half the time that we saw
Yeah.
shots that they were in the water.
After, because the first Aquaman movie, we hadn't seen Avatar 2, obviously. The first Aquaman movie, I loved the way they did underwater.
I did too.
But like Ray's saying, then came Avatar 2. That kind of ruins everything else.
Yeah.
Because an underwater style that I used to think looked awesome in Aquaman 1, I'm now looking at it through the lens of Avatar 2, and like, this is not as good. It doesn't look as good
it's too
underwater.
fantasy land.
Yeah.
There's no reality to it. There's no where the stuff on Pandora it looked naturalistic. It looked realistic. It looked, even when you see giant creatures underwater, they're not real creatures, but they
breathing
look
and
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You believe that they could really exist. The Aquaman stuff was just there's no reality at all.
No, it's all fantastical.
It's all
And
fantastic.
but like Ray was saying, sometimes you don't even like. Sometimes there are shots where are they underwater in that shot?
They are underwater. They're
Right.
supposed to
Where in
They're supposed to be,
Aquaman
but-
or in Avatar 2, you always knew.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
This
you
was
don't-
like when you go back and play a PlayStation 2 game again. And you're like, oh, I thought that was amazing.
right.
I thought those graphics were killer. And then you play on the 5 and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
One scene in particular, he's speeding through. I don't know if he's holding on to something, and there's no bubbles coming out. There's no foam that you see when
And
they
some
rip.
things might not be finished.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
You know what?
early-
That's true.
Early
So
on.
that, we
Because
should
the
give
movie
that
is
grain of
still a
salt.
while away.
Yeah, they
That's a
delayed
good
it.
point.
Yeah.
They delayed
I mean,
it,
it's not
right?
till
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, so they probably are going to put
It's
some finishing
April.
touches in.
Yeah.
But it is something I
When
think
is it
to be a
come out?
little
I think
concerned about.
Christmas, right?
What is November
It
or
might be
December?
November.
You might be right though.
It
thought
might
it was
be.
November now.
Maybe it's the late November.
Yeah, so it's in
Thanksgiving.
that era. So they still got time to go on that. So that was Aquaman. It was fine. It didn't raise the bar for me. Then came a movie I'm very, very interested in, which is Blue Beetle. Which, by the way, I learned I've been pronouncing Zolo's name
Yeah, Zolo
improperly.
Manda-
It's Sholo.
Solo.
Sure.
So the star Blue Beetle, Sholo. There, I learned something new every day. They
Liked
brought
him a
up
lot.
He was
Winning
great. They brought him
personality.
out with the lead actress, and the director
Oh, she's
came out.
gorgeous. She had like such a gorgeous face. I can't believe
Yeah,
it.
she's Brazilian. As if that explains it.
Yeah.
But they brought them out to talk about the film, and they showed what they called an extended trailer. So it was about double the length of the trailer. And again, not super hyped. I mean, don't get me wrong. I look at the Blue Beetle stuff they've showed us, including the stuff they showed us today, and I see the potential.
Yeah, it looks good.
There is a world of potential there. I'm just not getting a lot of that potential in the marketing. Like, I'm not feeling super
Really?
hyped.
Oh, the extended fight for me was like, fuck yeah.
You enjoyed that? Yeah.
Yeah, I love
That
that
was so
stuff.
injustice. That was so injustice.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But again, it's all about the story, the superhero action. I take when I look at these superhero trailers, it's gotten to the point where the superhero action I sort of dismiss, and I want to see the character interaction. What is this movie about? And I think too often now these superhero movies are getting a little generic in terms of their story, that there's not enough difference between the origin tales and then the threat that they must face off against. And we know that's going to be fine. I want to see something different. That's why seeing Aquaman talk to his dad about being a father,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that becomes more
Well, that's why
resonant and relevant.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse stuff we saw yesterday.
Same
when
thing,
the
dude.
stuff between the families and those
Yeah.
conversations, like struggling with all, like these are the elements you're talking about
Yes.
that differentiate this from other comic book fare. And I didn't get enough of that in
I didn't either. I mean, it looks great. Everyone looks they look like they're all terrific characters.
Yeah.
I love the family dynamic, but it all looks very generic.
the family dynamic.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be
Yeah,
key.
because
Yeah.
Angel brought that up too about, they're all in on this from the get-go.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they're
that's
all
the thing that's
helping
going
him.
to differentiate this is everyone knows about Jaime from the jump.
Well, that's what the
So,
direct. By the
yeah.
way, I love the director. Of
I
this
know, it's
movie.
awesome.
With the
Yeah.
way he came out, he's like wearing his Puerto Rico hat. He's all
Okay,
ripped
am I
jeans.
the only one that for a second thought he was one of the members of LMFAO?
Oh, dude, he does. He looked like Rico Suave.
I worked out. Like I
I'll tell
expected
you,
that's going to say.
one of the greatest things about the
Who's the coolest
Hispanic
dressed guys
family
there?
is that they are close.
Oh, yeah,
the
super tight, yeah.
that they are very close, and I think that's going to be what makes this.
Okay, am I the only one? Who's the
Different.
comedian who plays a dad?
George Lopez.
George
Okay,
Lopez.
am I the only one who's for a split second thought George Lopez was flying the Watchman owl ship?
That's
Well,
fair.
that blue, yeah,
Yeah, because
that's based on Blue Beetles.
But didn't you think for a second that was the owl?
Yeah.
The owl ship
That's
flying.
I mean, but the owl ship is actually literally
Because they
based
based
on
Archie off of it.
yeah, because they.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
because the Blue Beetle was one of the Charlton characters that DC bought.
Right.
That they wouldn't allow Alan Moore to use because he was going to mess with them. So he created basically Dr. Manhattan is Captain Atom, and that Blue Beetle is Night Owl.
Night Owl.
So they're all the same. That's why you thought that.
Right,
Very
but Ray
intentional.
brought up a really good point as we were coming back to the hotel room here. He's like, the one part that kind of then pulled me out. So George Lopez can just fly a ship now?
Yeah, right.
That's
You know what? I'll let it go.
hold on, everybody.
Well, family things are possible.
But Chris, you pointed out. I love the fact that the family was in on it. I like that the director said the family was complicit.
Complicit.
I love that
And it's-
terminology.
And that's why I thought that was it. That makes it interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. It's no like hiding who I am and going,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
actually, no, never mind. Like that's something I'm kind of over in the superhero
Yeah.
genre. I love the idea of the entire extended family being like, oh, Jaime, yeah, he's the Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't actually, and we were in such a rush to get back to the hotel room. I didn't get a chance to ask you what you thought of the Blue Beetle stuff.
I think similar to Kris, I like the idea that they know from the get-go. Like that makes it all in itself very, very unique from what we've seen. So, and I like Xolo. I think I loved him in Cobra Kai, so I'm excited to
Yeah.
see him. on the big
Huge Cobra
screen.
Kai fan.
Yeah,
Huge
I've
Cobra
been
Kai.
following him since that series, so I think this is his moment, and to have the diversity in
Yeah,
the
that-
cast, and there was some good music playing in the trailer.
Yes.
So I'm excited for it.
And the fight scenes in the tunnels. You can't tell me the neon colors from that suit when it was in action popped really well.
It looked
did.
great. I love
It
that
was
suit.
almost like a party
Yeah.
fight.
I-
Visually, it looks great. And again, nothing of what they showed us took anything away from me.
Right.
Again, it just didn't. Unlike a lot of the other trailers in the WB, a lot of the presentations in the WB segment today that got me super excited for it, Aquaman didn't, and Blue Beetle didn't.
One last thing about that trailer. Did I just not see the second trailer, or was this the first time we were introduced to the actual villain?
This was the first time. Yeah, the villain wasn't in the first
Okay,
trailer.
yeah, the guy in red, right? The red
Oh,
armor
no,
or something?
no.
That's not the
Seen
villain?
Susan Sarandon,
Oh,
who's
okay.
kind of bad.
Right,
Okay.
but it's
But yeah.
the main guy
Yeah.
he's gonna have to fight is this dude. So, there's again, I still see a lot of potential in this movie. It's still a movie that was supposed to go to streaming that they looked at and said, nope, this is gonna go to
Right.
theaters.
Right.
Which is what they did with Evil Dead Rise, and that turned out to be a $25 million opening weekend for that little film.
Yes.
So they've had some success there, so we'll see how that goes. So that then rounded things out when they brought out Andy Muschietti and Ezra Miller. Just kidding, they didn't bring out Ezra Miller. To nobody's surprise. Although they did mention Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
They did.
They did mention Ezra. So there was a little bit of that. Didn't talk for long about it. They just then went on and talked
But I have
about
to
it.
say that Andy Muschietti made a really big point to talk about how great it was to work with Ezra.
Yeah, said one of the great experiences I've had working with an actor. And then moved on to talk about Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
It was great. They're like, how did you convince Michael Keaton to come out and play Batman? I took him to lunch. And then there you go. They showed, which I'm thinking you guys have probably seen by now. I have a feeling they probably
They
dropped
did.
the Flash
They
trailer
dropped it.
the moment they showed it to us. look, the trailer looks great. And which, by the way, brings us all the way back to the beginning of the presentation. When David Zaslav came out and said, we've got Flash coming later. This was at the very beginning of the presentation. He talked about Flash for a second. And he went one further than James Gunn. David Zaslav said, this is the greatest comic book movie I've ever seen.
Or his favorite superhero movie.
This is my favorite
And he
superhero movie
watched
I've
it 3
ever
times.
watched.
He's already watched it 3 times.
Which goes along with James Gunn saying James Gunn thinks it's one of the greatest comic book films of all time, which makes you feel a little bit for Blue Beetle and Aquaman that they're being treated like the ugly stepchildren.
A little bit.
It's like you get a guy comes in with his 3 kids. He goes, "Hi, this is Bobby, and this is little Jill, and this is my favorite child, my favorite child ever, Kenny." Say hi to Kenny, everybody. Look how great Kenny is. Meanwhile, the other 2 kids are like,
There was something we forgot to mention. There's a little sizzle reel, but what the part about the sizzle reel that I thought was really cool is at the end they had these flashing gold logos, and one of them was the Batman Part 2. One of them was Joker.
Oh,
yeah.
that was awesome.
Let's finish with the flashing, and then I'm glad you brought that up. Let's get back to that. Again, the Flash trailer was killer. It looks great. You get more of a sense. I'm dying more and more and more. It took me a little while to warm up to the new Supergirl. It took me a little bit to warm up. I am now dying to see her on screen.
Yeah, me too. You know when you will?
In about 2 hours. 2 hours from now, actually.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah, you won't be seeing it.
We'll see if you see it.
Can you believe Kris is skipping this to teach a voice acting class. So if you are one of her students, that's the type of commitment that Kris Carr has
I love them.
for you guys.
They're a bunch of good fellas. And one gal, Claire, yay.
Although I'm sure if you told them you were skipping on the flash screen,
Oh, no,
they
they
would tell
know.
you. Oh, are
They know. They were like,
Okay.
"Are you seriously skipping it?" And I was like, "Yeah, this was."
That's how
I
important.
had this scheduled first.
So if you want a dedicated voice teacher for animation, go to Speak Friend. Is it Speak Friend?
Speak Friend Studio.
SpeakFriendStudio.com.
Thanks, John.
And to get some of that voice acting
You
lessons.
know who's going to be joining us though? Mr. Logan, right?
Yeah, Logan is.
Yeah, so
I think so. Yeah.
hopefully.
And by the way, we're across from each other. I heard nothing.
What do you all think people do where you could hear it across a hallway
No
like
wonder you
that?
borrowed that cup from me.
It's funny because we were talking about maybe Logan. Maybe Logan can come to the screening instead. And we said, well, the nice thing about Chris's first name is just Kris.
Yeah.
It's on her badge, so no problem. Like, and I was like, it's a good thing she's not Asian. You're Shen Wan? they watched Logan.
It's almost
Yes,
like her name's me.
I am Shen Wan.
And I have to point out that I left because I needed to use the restroom, and I knew we were going to watch The Flash, so I left.
So
and
he didn't watch the Flash trailer because
Yeah.
we're going to see it in like 2 hours. By the way, in case you didn't know, so Flash is 6:40. I think it goes to 7. I think it's 6. No,
7:15.
it goes to 7:15. So
I made a Google Doc.
8:15. We will put up the event here in a bit, but at 8:15 p.m. Los Angeles time is when we will be right back here on this couch without Kris because she wouldn't have seen the movie.
No.
And we're going to give our review of The Flash. Well, in a non-spoilery, it'll be non-spoiler, but we're going to get on here and do a live stream giving our review of The Flash at 8:15 tonight. So that is a little under 6 hours from now. Is when we're going to be doing that. So we hope you guys will come back and join us for that. But again, trailer's killer. I thought it was great. It's a heavy movie. It gives you the sense it's a real heavy
I
movie.
will say there was something in this trailer that made me even more interested. Speaking to talking about family and all that, there's this great monologue that Keaton gives about trying to stop his family or trying to help out.
Oh, no, he goes,
about
he said, I lost my family when I was young, and I've spent my life fighting crime. I think thinking that somehow that would bring them back.
Yeah,
and you did it. He says that to Barry. It's a great line.
Great line, and I'm like, oh, okay, but look at what cost.
Yeah.
It's like the monkey's paw. You do something like that, and if that's got into the story, that's going to be really fascinating.
So that looks great. So listen, overall, I mean, Ann and I were talking about this coming out. The big difference between like the Sony presentation, which was a really solid presentation, this one. The Sony presentation, they bring out the stars. Hi, everybody. I loved making this movie. See you later. And then literally are on stage for like 30 seconds. This is like they bring out these stars and they stand around and talk and do like a mini panel for like 10 minutes each.
Or
It was
if
a
you're
great
Oprah, they pull
presentation.
up chairs.
Yeah, if you're Oprah,
Get a whole-
That was great.
That was great.
I'll tell you what, Warner Brothers put on a great presentation. Yeah. I mean, they normally. You know what was different though this year? They didn't bring out the comedian who does the main voice on Archer, the main female.
H. John Benjamin. Oh no, the female Aisha.
Tyler. Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
Normally at CinemaCon, she comes out and moderates all the DC stuff, and they didn't have her this year, which I guess is kind of a signifying that there's a changing of the guard.
There's one thing that we didn't mention that happened beforehand, before the Warner Brothers presentation began, and it was in the state of the industry. James Cameron did a video, and they played a montage called Endings. I think it was called Endings.
Yeah, great endings.
Great. Is that online? He said they made that 5 years
They
ago.
showed it at CinemaCon
5 years ago.
like 5 years, and they did
That
it at CinemaCon last year too.
piece was it was done to the piece Time from the Inception soundtrack.
Yep, and it was all these great endings from all these
What
movies.
a banger of a video.
But by the way, I almost forgot to get back to what Ray brought up, which is in the WB presentation, when they brought up on screen, they had black screen with these gold letters of all these titles of all these movies they've got coming up this year. And it ends with all these titles swirling with two getting full focus in camera and flying right to the camera. And the first one was Superman Legacy, and then behind it was The Batman 2. Part 2.
And in that
But then
montage-
they didn't talk about the Batman at all.
But there were clips from like Folly Do. They had all clips from the
Yep.
I'm just glad that we got the confirmation. I think it's just more confirmation that those are coming. That
Yeah.
Superman Legacy logo and
Well, as you said, tangibility.
It's a tangibilization.
The tangibilization of it all.
And he also mentioned that it's a 10-year plan. He
Yep.
believes in James Gunn and Peter.
Yeah.
No matter what happens. So we'll see. It's going to be a hell of a ride, I think.
So anyway, guys, that's our coverage for the Warner Brothers presentation. It was great, and it's not over because we're going to hit end on this stream, and we're going to put on our shoes, and we're going to head over to Caesar's Palace to go watch The Flash. And we will, of course, be giving you guys updates. We're going to be doing our review live stream a little bit later tonight. Actually, I think Christian Harloff is going to join us.
Nice.
He's going to come in here and join us. Maybe he can sit there. Does he have? Yeah, Chris.
Maybe
if we had lower thirds, we would have to change
You
the
don't
lower
have to do
thirds.
anything.
So it's good. And then tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow? We got Universal. We got Disney in the morning. Disney's
Disney in the
presentation
morning
tomorrow.
because I want to. They want
We
me
got
to start
the
my day badly.
Boogeyman screening. I gotta sit next to
So
Chris for
furious.
that. We got
Hate it.
Universal in the evening. Big day tomorrow. Then of course Paramount and Lionsgate
Then,
on
of
Thursday.
course, Paramount. You mean, then, of course,
It's gonna be there. Randon, one of my buddies, is an executive there at Paramount, and I got to introduce him to Ann. Was there really excited about that? So, guys, thank you for joining us for our little recap of the Warner Brothers presentation. We'll see you later tonight for our report on The Flash that we're gonna go watch right now. Have a great day, everybody. My name is John Campea, and I'm gonna reach over here to end stream. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.